Okay.
Here.
Thank you.
And okay, perfect. It's recording. So yeah, I'll get that to you, and then it'll be in the form of like a little bit like a private video link. There you go. Okay. So let's pull on, or actually, no, let me open my space first. So I'm gonna light a candle just to symbolize that we're in session. So Spirit, as I light this candle, this symbolizes that we are in session. May we make this a beautiful, positive, loving space, a safe space, and any messages that need to you bring them through me to my client. And light a mini one too. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be focusing the intention on love. See what's going on with this particular connection, and then also just anything else that pops up, anything else that wants to come through. Okay. So what I have is the Ace of Swords, the Page of Wands, and a Four of Pentacles. So I see a delay and I do see a pause with the cards, but the energy of an Ace of Swords tells me this is like communication. This is stuff coming up, so like confessions or topics, things that are going to be coming up and out, right? So if you open up the opportunity for connection to communicate with this person, you may be surprised of what might come out. How deep is your connection with him? Like how deep are you guys, like close, or is this like a coming and going kind of a connection with that you have with him? Like, what is it like?
So we were together for almost 3 years in a relationship. But he's incarcerated, so there's that built-in distance into the relationship.
Yeah.
And this, like, I can see the communication, because what we've said is, we're interested in being with each other in the long run, but there are some things, and this is something that I said. I was like, there's just some communication that needs to be had and some accountability that needs to be held on both of our ends about how shit went down. And so it feels like we're kind of like, we're still in contact and we're still talking to each other and still love each other and whatnot, but it feels like our relationship is at a pause because that pending conversation, right? Which we don't know when we're gonna have because of the circumstances.
So okay, so that makes sense then, because that's kind of like, that's what I'm seeing. So that kind of helps me a little bit understand what my cards are telling me. So definitely with the Ace of Swords coming up as your first card, that is indicating that need for you to have a conversation is very important. It's an upright sword, so this means truth. This means like really confessing or bringing out the things that you need to get from deep down. You really need to spill it out and say it to him. The other thing that I'm seeing too is, this is just the image on the card. So this is my Alice in Wonderland deck, but this is a little dog. It's Toto. But I see the dog too to symbolize for him as like loyal. So I do see it as he has been loyal, or he has been around, or he has been, somebody that is an element of trust. So I do kind of see that too. But it is a page. And so a page is somebody who is they're young, or they appear young, meaning like they're not as mature, or they're not as experienced, you know what I mean? So in that level, so in the level of relationships and whatnot, I feel, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is he not as experienced in love? Okay, so it's very like minimal with him, right? Okay, so I do see that as a Page of Wands popping up, which I can see this as a frustration for you, because you're a little bit more advanced with that, and so you're trying to level with him when it comes to that level of understanding. But the dog does make me feel that he has been loyal, or has been that element of being able to be loyal. Okay. I do see the Four of Pentacles though as very like so usually sometimes Four of Pentacles is keeping secrets or keeping things really close, and I don't know if that's you doing it from him. Are you holding stuff back from him, or is it the other way around?
It actually, it may be both, right? Because
Okay.
I think he started doing that at first. And then I think that I feel like I kind of am like a mirror sometimes where I like reflect what's given to me. Like you give me transparency, I'll give you transparency. You hold back, I'll hold back. So I think it's a
Right.
little bit of back and forth now, but I do think that it was something that he initiated. But I did take
Okay.
part too.
Okay. So whenever that pops up too, I feel like that's just know that it could be a little bit difficult to start getting stuff to come out when if you guys are in a place of being, protective. I'll use that word, being more protective of each other. But as far as like the energy of what is gonna about to happen with this, the situation, so this says you're ready and the situation will improve. So I feel like the energy of like what the angel cards are showing is that you're ready for this conversation. It's not a matter of waiting for the perfect moment. It's kind of like when you are comfortable, like when you know this is a good time to do it, you're ready to start letting this stuff out. The situation will improve. Now that's based on how, you know, how you both want to move forward or how you both envision this relationship going in the future. I do feel like he's kind of more go with the flow. So I do feel like if you say I'm not really feeling this and whatnot, I think he will kind of go with the flow. But there's just something about that dog that really sticks out to me with him. I'm taking that because dogs symbolize loyalty and spirit, in that whole essence, they do symbolize loyalty. But I do feel like kind of he will go with the flow of whatever you want. But you kind of really hold the upper end on this, in the direction that you want to take it. Um, your flower cards. So I got choices, knowledge, and illumination, delicate, fleeting, and beauty. So it's a really like I feel like that energy is like really soft. It's a really delicate situation that you're going to be dealing with. I think also you're are you afraid to upset him, or are you afraid to say something that will be, detrimental to the connection you already have with him? Like, is that why you hold back? Is that kind of why you are a little bit more afraid?
Yeah. I don't know that it's that I'm afraid that I think what it is, and it feels so stupid and it feels so immature. And I think that's so funny that the dog card comes up in the sense of like immaturity, at least for me, because it feels so dumb. But like there's like that communication is so important to me, and that's something that I place a very high value on.
Yeah,
And I've been holding back because so he's incarcerated. We have very limited communication, and he was recently diagnosed with lupus. So our relationship was feeling rocky, and I think the reason it became rocky, and I ended up basically giving him the ultimatum to just. My ultimatum was communicate with me or leave, and he decided to like walk out. Was
yeah,
because he said that every time I would try to have these conversations, it would stress him out. And it literally physically affects me, give him lupus flares. And I don't know, like only he knows his process and like him being behind there. So I
yeah.
think for me, it's like I'm afraid to hurt him,
Uh-huh.
not emotionally, but literally physically.
Yeah,
Like I'm not hitting the man or anything, but like
yeah.
I'm afraid of the stress causing that physical reaction to him. And it
Okay.
sucks because I can't open up about it, you know?
Right. Now, did you know him before he was incarcerated? So you
Yeah.
knew him before. Okay. So you have, because what I was gonna say was like if your only experience of him was after his incarceration, there could be that element too of like you're not sure what he would be like outside of that. Um, I think that your fears are actually pretty valid. Like I would, if I was in your position, I would feel the same way. Like you don't want to cause stress, or you don't want to be the reason why someone doesn't feel well. So I totally get that. Um, but I also feel like there's something there. I do like I feel like there's definitely something there that is worth waiting for. The energy that I feel too is very like that, just the term loyal just keeps coming up in my mind. So I just feel like spirit is really like putting that in with that there's some sort of element of loyalty on his part. Okay. Um, I feel like that his now it kind of comes back to me too now that you said that you mentioned that he was sick. because I want to say in the other session, did I say something about him being very withdrawn because of finding out that he was sick, that it was like a lot on him that he had to kind of deal with on his own terms? Okay. So I do feel like now that as he is, I feel like he's now kind of like starting to learn, okay, this is something I gotta live with for the rest of my life, and this is how it is. He's making do with what he can with his resources. He has very limited resources, you know. I think in his part with his energy, and I'll pull some cards on that too. But what I feel like for him is he's also very careful. Like to me, it feels like you guys are both doing the same thing. You being cautious because you don't want to be the source of him getting sick. He's being very cautious because he wants you to make the choice. Like he wants you to know what you want versus, you know, making a decision because of him. That's at least the feeling that I get on his energy. So let me pull some cards. So I have the Six of Swords. I have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah. And then I have the Seven of Pentacles. So he's literally leaving it up to you. Six of Swords is that card of leaving a stressful situation and going into a place of peace. Has he ever done that? Like told you to just, if you're not happy, to go?
Wait,
Like has he ever?
wait, hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got a call, but the last thing I heard you say was Six of Swords was.
Okay. The Six of Swords is it's about leaving a stressful situation and going to a place of peace. Has he ever pushed you away and told you if you're not happy, like go, you know, go do your own thing kind of stuff? Does he do that to you?
Not in those words, but I do feel like he emotionally shuts down and pushes me away.
Okay.
And I do think in the back of his mind, it's like that whole like, and I have it too, right? You mentioned earlier, like what is it going to be like when he comes out? Because even though we did know each other before, we weren't together, and we were young.
Yeah.
So I think there's that doubt on both.
It's a fear. Yeah. And that's a valid fear too, because I've read for other people who are in similar situations as you. And I do feel like that is a fear of, I've only really known this person in this situation. So I don't really know if he would be a fit outside of that. So I do feel like that's also kind of like one of those underlying fears that you don't put too much thought into it, but it is there. I do see also for him the Two of Pentacles, which is a decision, and then I see the Seven of Pentacles, which is also about choices. So I do feel like he's eventually, if he hasn't done this yet to you, this could be something that pops up where he's gonna just say, hey, the ball is in your court, I want you to do what you need to do. And you might register that as you don't want to be with me kind of stuff, you know. I think because his hands are tied right now, like he really can't do much. So you're the one that can actually be, you're more fluid, you're more free, so to speak, right? So I feel like he's gonna put that onto you of like, if you bring up whatever it is you need to say, your conversation, right, that comes from your heart, he may go and tell you, he may do that ultimatum kind of thing. So I do kind of feel that coming up. If you know that, just kind of know like in the back of your mind that this is something that could pop up. This is something for you to start thinking of on your own, of if he were to do that, what is it that you truly want? Like, what is your heart telling you, right? So I do feel like that this is something that will pop up if you were to just, you know, really pour out your heart, because I think what he wants is, he wants obviously you to be happy. Yeah, the Queen of Wands, the Death card, and then the Magician. So he wants you to be happy. The Queen of Wands is, you know, how he sees you is very, you know, motivated. Like you bring motivation and passion to him, right? But the Death card is change. So the Death card is endings, change, and then the Magician is a new beginning. So I kind of see that too as like, if you start speaking to him in terms of getting him to feel like you're not sure, you're kind of iffy on it, I feel like his first mechanism is going to push you out and say, hey, do what you need to do. Like, I'm good. So kind of know that in the back of your mind. He does, to me, I think it's a protection mechanism for him. It's because he hasn't developed much relationship skills, right? He hasn't been able to do that. So that's like the first thing he does is like push it away. I think that's what he's going to do. So I do feel like he's going to do kind of like an ultimatum kind of a situation, or altogether push you out. I don't feel like it's entirely bad. I feel like it's just he's limited, so he doesn't really know what else he could do. I feel like he feels guilty too to ask you to sit and wait. That's another thing that I'm getting to. I think that he holds that in. That's his fear card, is the hangman. The hangman is the fear card, is the hangman is all about stagnancy, like you're not going anywhere. And so I think that that's also another thing too, is he feels guilty to make you wait for him. Because he doesn't know if that's, you know, truly what you want. So when you're talking to him, you got to really ask yourself first, what is it that you want, you know, so that when you bring these things up, he knows full like facts. This is the truth. This is what I want out of this. And then, you know, he can decide for himself what he wants to do, because he's kind of up against the wall. That's how I see it. And I think that's why the Ace of Swords came up first for you, because it's a card of truth. So have you really sat and asked yourself where you see yourself going? Like in the future, do you see him in your future? Or do you want him in your future? Or have you really sat to think about all that kind of stuff? I think those are things you got to start really digging deep in, because the way I see it, he's putting it in your court. He's leaving it up to you to decide. Does he have an upcoming court date coming up or anything like that that can show or say when he may be getting out? Do you know? Does he have a date? So it's kind of up in the air right now. Yeah. So that's why I feel like that energy too is like, he's kind of just he's back up against the wall. He knows where he's going to be for the next few years. So I feel like for you, it's more so like, okay, your freedom is the one that is the more important here. I feel like as like you're listening to that, I feel like something clicked, like something lit up in your mind. How are you feeling right now?
Like when you were talking about the truth card and like, have I really sat and thought about that? I feel like I have. And I do, you know, you're asking questions and I was answering them in my head, like, yeah. I do see myself with him in the future. I do see him as like my partner and like forming a family and whatnot. But I feel like there's still that I see that, but there's still that question in the back of my mind where it's kind of like, I see that, but does he see that? And you were saying like the ball's on my court and I'm gonna make the decision. And then in my mind, I'm like, but I want him to make the decision. I want to be sure that he wants to be with me too. And I feel like we're both probably feeling that way. And that's why I feel so stupid and immature.
No, I know. And you know what? So this is how I feel. I'm going to pull cards on what I'm going to pull lightly for his energy, like where he's coming at from the situation. So this is, but I definitely, all of the cards that I pull for you, it's like patience, like it's all the keywords in them. So you're a very patient person, like you're willing to wait forever. Okay. So I like that. I like that as I was asking those questions, you're in your mind, you were getting those answers. Those first answers that you receive, that's your intuition, that's your heart. So when you start to really like overthink and think, that's your ego. So the first answer that comes to mind when you were hearing those questions, that's your heart. Okay. So let me pull on his energy. And I when I say I'm doing it lightly, it's like I'm not going to go super deep in him because he's not here to say yes or no. Just surface level. Where is he coming at in this situation? What does he want? And then obviously you're going to hear it from him when you ask him those questions. Let's see. Has it been like 9 or 10 years that you guys have been known each other?
Probably more than that, but that's okay. How long he's been down.
Okay, because the first card is the 9 of Wands. So that's all I was asking. Okay, so that's interesting because the 9 of Wands is about the energy is when somebody is working, they're like, no matter how many times they get knocked down, they're still trying, they're still fighting for it. So that makes sense then. If he's been locked up for about 9 years now, that shows that energy that's the first thing that's on his heart, on his aura, I'll say. His realization that he knows that's his situation. It's also interesting too, this card doesn't show it very much, but the Rider-Waite The Nine of Wands is like all the wands are standing up. It almost looks like jail, like a jail cell, you know, like the bars. So it's kind of interesting that that pops up for him. He sees himself too. I love it because it's like the lion, which is a fighter. It's a courageous animal, right? So it's kind of like on his aura. That's the first thing that he sees himself as. The Lovers card is also popping up. I love that. And then here's again the Four of Pentacles. So when I have a repeat card, the Four of Pentacles, which is about keeping secrets or holding things back, that's on him. So the energy of, remember how I was saying it's one of you guys is doing it more so, and you said you're like the mirror. He's the one that's holding back. And I feel like, again, the Lovers card definitely shows, you know, that's on his heart, that's on his aura, is the relationship. He holds back from you, I feel, because he doesn't want to influence your initial decision. He doesn't want to come off as, if I really, really want this to work and stuff, but what if she doesn't? That's like what's going on in his heart. So I feel like that's why he does have that secretive, or like that he comes off as not being open, because he doesn't want to persuade you to change your mind if your heart is going in a different direction. So that makes sense now why it's important that you do have that conversation with him, because when you really like strip your heart raw and you tell him deep down, this is what I feel and this is what I'm down for, that, hey, I'm down to do this. I don't care how long it takes or whatever, like I'm in. By him knowing that, I feel like that's going to be him being able to drop his guard a little bit. Okay. So just know in his energy, the Lovers card shows definitely that it's on his mind, like it's there. Okay. And that's why he doesn't open up so much. He doesn't want to influence you. The Temperance card is also popping up. And then the Death card is also popping up. This is the second time this card's come up for him. So he has death on his mind a lot. Okay. I feel like that comes up a lot too, because, you know, his recent diagnosis and stuff. So we also talked about that, and it's kind of coming back to me that the depression came up and all of that. So he goes through his moods, right? So I feel like this is something he may not talk too much to you about, but just know, like, since we kind of peaked in his energy a little bit, death is on his mind a lot. I feel like he does think about, I don't want to die in here, or he does think about like, he doesn't want to waste the time the precious time that he may have, or he does envision, you know, getting out one day and being able to have that relationship. So death is a big deal. This is heavy on his heart. That's twice it came up for him. That stuff may come up when you guys have a talk. Okay. So if you want to kind of subtly bring that up, you'd be surprised what he may be comfortable saying to you, but just know that that's on his heart. The other thing is Temperance. This is literally the card of peace. This is literally the card of balance, and the card of, like I say, 50-50, when you're half in, half out. So for him, he's 50-50 with the relationship and love, because he doesn't want to influence your mind, because he doesn't know 100% what you want. Okay. So that makes sense. Does that make sense for you too?
No, because I'm like, how the hell does he not know what I want? When I mean, I tried telling him,
but I think it's because it's that little piece of doubt, or it's like your little conscience that's telling him, like, I think it's because he sees you as free to come and go and do your own thing. He can't, right? So he's kind of in a different situation. So it's like, do you really want this? You know, do you really want to wait, or do you really want to be in this situation? And I think it's kind of also a confidence thing too, especially if he's struggling right now with his illness and stuff. I think it's just a lot of confidence issues too. It's a self-esteem thing. So it's kind of cool though, because I see him very open to it. But I think it's just, he may be that person that needs more reassurance. What is his sign? Do you know his zodiac sign?
he's a freaking cuss Taurus and Gemini.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So so Tauruses are normally grounded, right? But Gemini, and I'm a Gemini rising, so I get it. Geminis they're known for the two-faced, but they're also known for they can't make a decision. They're all over the place. So it makes sense why he would be that way. He would be kind of wishy-washy, is what I want to say, with how his energy could be. Then it makes sense too why he needs constant reassurance. What's your sign?
God, I'm a Scorpio Libra cuss.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So you're the same way. No wonder you're like a mirror, because Libra, so Scorpio's usually very like lie detectors, like they know the truth when you know it, right? But then that Libra cusp is the part that makes you doubt what you think you know. So you constantly doubt your intuition or you doubt your heart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then Libras are also about balance back and forth. And so by you saying that you mirror him, or both you guys do it to each other, it's because you both have that limbo sign, like literally. So that's that air sign. So I think it's air. I think Libra is air. So yeah, you guys are both like very, very similar in each way. And seeing that too, you guys will probably actually be worried about the same shit. So the stuff he's worried about
Yeah.
is the same stuff you're worried about. Yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind too. Whatever's coming up for you that's bothering you, chances are it's the same for him. Okay. So I do feel like I do see that he does want to be with you, or he does want a relationship. I just think he wants to make sure, one, that you're fully invested, because I see the dog is showing he's loyal, like he will be invested. Okay.
It's funny that the loyalty came up because a few days ago, and I've had this a few times, um I had a dream, and I feel like the last time I talked to you, you told me to like listen more to my intuition, and you weren't the first person to tell me that. But after we had our session, like I started to like be more mindful of it,
Yeah.
and I started seeing weird little shit like coincidences, things like that, and I'm like, okay, I think this is me tapping into my intuition.
Yep.
But like, and these dreams have tripped me out. So like a few weeks ago, or yeah, a few months ago, I dreamed that he's never had a cell phone while he's been in there, but I dreamed that he was in there with the cell phone, and then he was talking to some Jennifer chick, and I'm like, who the fuck is Jennifer, right? And I'm like, I'm low key, I can be a low key psycho jealous bitch, whatever. We all have
Yeah.
that inside of us. And I was like, who the fuck is Jennifer? But I'm like, I hadn't even talked to him anything. And then like last week, he called me from a cell phone, and he
Oh,
was like, hey,
what?
babe. Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck? And then he was like, what's up? And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm tripping out because I had a dream of this. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I had a dream that you were in there playing with the stupid ass little cell phone. And then he's like, well, it's not mine, but like I borrowed it, blah, 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 blah. And then after that, I was like, okay, that's weird. Maybe when I had that dream was when that cell phone got near him,
Yeah.
And then he said that, and then I dreamed that he was out, and he was like, we were all hanging out, and that he was like flirting with a friend. And I'm like, why am I dreaming that? Are those like insecurities that I have, or like,
Yes.
is he talking to somebody else? Like, what is it? And so like the fact that loyalty came up so strongly in the beginning, I feel like maybe
Yeah.
that was spirit
Let that
reaffirming my
be.
insecurity.
Yes. Let that be. So sometimes too, spirit, that's why spirit will talk to us, is if I'm honed in on a symbol in the card that normally doesn't talk to me, it's a sign for you. So that was something I didn't even know you needed to hear. Obviously, spirit was talking to you on that. But also the dreams like that is completely totally normal when we have insecurities, because I have very similar dreams too. Like oh, it's funny because I'm sleeping right next to my husband, and I have dreams he's fucking cheating on me in my dream, and I wake up like, what the fuck? But it's completely normal. So when you have insecurities, and it may not even be an insecurity on the relationship, it could be insecurities on yourself or your life or something in your life, right? But it manifests in your dream as, you and that connection with another person. So I have those dreams all the time. But if you're struggling with something in your personal life, or you're insecure about something in your life, usually, yeah, you'll dream about it because it's subconsciously on your mind. So that's what that is. The cell phone thing, you're intuitive. So part of being a Scorpio, like I said, you're a lie detector. So you know when someone's like lying to you. Trust your intuition. The fact that you saw your intuition really coming out when you really started to tune in, and you saw symbols, or you saw like synchronicities, that's what I'm talking about. The more that you're aware of it, the more it happens. Those are your guides leading you. They protect you, or they are showing you symbols to help you with your path. They can't intervene, but they can help you. That's the same thing, like with the little dog popping up and me feeling like that was a sign or saying it's for some reason loyalty keeps popping up. That was a sign from your guides to you saying, hey, you need to hear this. I feel like too, just like the dream with the phone and stuff, it's also communication because we use phones to communicate. So it could also be a symbol too for you of saying, you guys got to communicate. You guys got to have that talk, right? And that's, you know, it could be as simple as that. That's dreams are, that's how they are. They're like riddles, you know? And then sometimes you will dream about the future. Like you'll have a premonition, kind of a dream. But I feel like it sounds to me kind of like in your case, it's more of like an insecurity or you're dreaming phones because of talk. So the communication. And that came up the very first card in your tarot.
Yeah.
Was the talk card. So we have
Yeah.
15 minutes. Do you have anything else you want me to pull for or anything?
I guess just my general love life. So I had a friend do a reading. She just started reading,
Okay.
and she pulled out a few cards for me. And of the ones that you pulled, the Four of Pentacles definitely was one of them.
Okay.
And then she pulled out, and I wanted to get your take on it. Here, let me
Sure.
look. Actually, it's 5 cards, and I just want to know like what you know about them.
Okay.
So I took a picture. So it's, so the Four of Pentacles is the first one, then the World card. No, not the, okay.
I'm going to pull them out as you tell me.
Okay, so I think it's the Four of Pentacles, then it's the World card, then it's the 5 spades.
That's the Five of Swords.
Yeah, that one. 5 of Swords. The Daughter of Swords, and then the Fool.
Okay.
And so she was just reading them. She pulled them for me, and she just read like the what the book said. But I wanted to get your take on them.
Yeah, for sure. So the Daughter of Swords, which is the Page of Swords. Four of Pentacles. Page of Swords, the World card. And
The Four of Pentacles, I guess we already know about because we've talked about it a lot today.
Oh, the Fool. That's what it was. The Fool. Oh, I love when the Fool comes up. Okay.
Really, because I got nervous with it.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's, if you don't like change, that's when you get nervous when you see it. How are you with change? Does it freak you out?
Yeah, I have a fear of the unknown.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm like, where the fuck is my Fool card? I know he's in here.
Where is that Fool?
There he is. Okay, so we already know the Four of Pentacles. And she may have read it differently, but I see Four of Pentacles as secrets or keeping things really close to you. The World card and the Fool card, literally, this is the first card in the tarot. The World is the last one. It's beginnings and endings. Okay, so I see the World as there's a cycle, something that you're caught up in a cycle will be ending, or the Fool will be that new beginning away from it. It's kind of like you're veering off onto a new path. Okay, now the Page of Swords and the Five of Swords, to me, I feel sometimes I see this as back talk. My intuition kind of tells me like this is either, you know, like chismos house in your vicinity, right? People who are backstabs or just people who are like back talking and that kind of stuff. Are you dealing with any of that right now?
Not that I know of. It's
Okay.
happening behind my back.
Okay. So, and then how about your work situation? How does work situation for you? It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, so we can outrule that then. The Page of Swords is usually, I tell people, be careful how much you load onto your mind, because a Page of Swords, she's carrying this big old heavy sword, and the weather in both of them is like really windy. Sorry, it's like really glare. It's really windy and it's really like all over the place, chaotic. So I always say with the Page of Swords is be careful how much you pile on your plate. You don't want to overload yourself. Okay. I do feel like maybe that is too overloading your mind, because the pursuit is the mind. So be careful of how much you overload and how much you believe from other people. Do you have friends that are also giving you opinions about your situation with your man?
Yeah.
Okay. Try to like limit, and I know we always want to go to our friends for advice and stuff, but limit your audience of who knows what's going on, because the more of this you have, it's confusing for you. You know what I mean? You always want to consult more with your heart versus like everybody else, because everybody else
That's
is
funny
giving
that
you
you
their opinion.
That's funny that you're saying that, because I feel like I just had that conversation with myself like 2 3 days ago, where I was like, lesser and lesser people need to know like the updates, and
Yeah.
they just need to know like we're working on it. You
Yes.
know, like that's just
Yeah. You know why? Because it's just between you and him. And no one else is going to be there in the relationship. It's just you guys. So you don't have to let them know every single move you're making. And I feel like too, that is, you know, there's cycles ending. The world card is there's an ending. You're breaking old habits. So I feel like you guys are going to be embarking on a new phase of your relationship once you have that breakthrough, that conversation, which makes sense too, because the swords is conversation, it's communication. So I do feel like after you have that big talk and you reveal the secrets or what's in your heart, and he does the same, you guys are going to be the best way I could say is breaking a cycle, because I see the round around the world as a cycle, and then a new beginning, right? A new journey. The relationship, the bond, the connection you guys have will feel different because you're allowing it to be kind of in another phase, like another level from where it's at. Okay. That's how I see it. So I'm not sure what she said to you when she was reading it, but you know, if something clicks with what she said, take that too, because there's so many ways you could interpret the tarot. It's just every reader comes at it differently. But I do see that there's, you know, I would say what I would take away from this, especially with that 5 of Swords, is limit your audience. You don't have, not everybody needs to know every little detail. They really don't. And then you will be more stress-free because of that, because you're not going to have a lot of this.
yeah.
So I definitely see that for sure. Yeah. How do
Yeah,
you feel about everything?
Well, it's funny because she said when she read it, it was similar. And when she pulled the world card, she said that I've been through like a healing process, and that I've already found all the answers, and I have all the answers within myself, which I related to that. And then for the full card, so she kind of saw like the 5 swords to be like the ending, or like a lot of pain happening, a lot of things just coming up that were going to be really painful.
Yeah.
And she saw the full card as like youth and like somebody new coming in, and she's like, and this person might be young. And I was like, oh my god, am I going to be a cougar? And she was like, I don't know. But then like in all seriousness, I was like, no, I think it's going to be like the beginning of a new relationship for
Yeah.
us. So I felt that that was just about us. And she was like, whatever makes sense to you is what, you know, you're the one
Yeah. And
that's
she's
on point.
right. Oh yeah, she's right about that, because that, like I said, there's so many different ways to interpret the cards, and whatever really, like whatever sticks to you, or whatever your attention is grabbed to, that's your heart. And so that's what you always go by, you know. As far as like, I mean, if you were to open your heart to possibilities of other people coming into your life, yeah, that can happen. But if you're honed in on, no, this is what I want, you're going to put your blinders on. You may not even see potential people that are trying to get your attention, you know. So it may be even happening,
Yeah,
you
it
just don't
happens like
realize
that.
it. Yeah. I feel like just with your energy, I feel, no, you're devoted. I do love that the dog energy does come up, so take that too as like a spirit animal right now that's around you, because to me I feel that's really specific with the cards. Actually, let me get my book.
I feel like that also was one of the things that was holding me back about like really opening up and communicating was, and it's so dumb because I'm like you said, like your heart is the first answer and your ego is after that. And like initially I'm like, there's nobody else. He doesn't even have time to deal with himself and with me and with his family. You swear a whole other person. But then I think my ego would be like, but what if he is talking to somebody else?
Right.
What if I shouldn't communicate with him? So I think it was really important. I needed to hear that.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. So the dog says, keep your faith strong no matter what's going on in your life. It is important for you to volunteer for something purely in spirit of service. Remain determined and resolute, even if you face negativity or disappointment. Show your love and appreciation in creative ways to those you're closest to, and give your loyalty to those you love and cherish. So it's beautiful. It's like, it's a very peaceful energy of just kind of telling you to, trust what's on your heart, trust your feelings, lead by your heart, and being a Scorpio, trusting your intuition more, which is your heart, because it will never fail you.
Yeah,
It will
that's
never
true.
fail you. Yeah, I see good things coming out of this situation, to be honest. Like, sometimes if I feel something bad, I'll tell you, but I feel good things. I think that the worst of it is kind of past for him too, the initial shock of when he got his diagnosis. But I do feel like he kind of does step on, I want to call it like stepping on eggshells, you know what I mean? Like, he's very careful what he says to you, because he doesn't want to persuade you if you're not feeling that same way. And so he'll play, it's kind of like a mind game kind of a thing. So that's why it's really
Yeah,
important
it's so
to figure
annoying.
it out.
Yeah. Oh, it feels annoying. But yeah, no, I think like a lot of what I was like thinking and doubting, like you kind of like help me piece together in my mind. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. You needed to get that message for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely did, because I'm like, I was starting to get confused again, and I feel like the last time I was so fucking confused, and
Mm-hmm.
once we had that session, like things, like a lot of my feelings kind of just like made
Yeah.
a lot more sense. They were clear. So
And so you even said too, after the session, you started to notice signs and stuff. That happens a lot with my clients. Like, once we have a session, I always tell them, you're going to start opening up. You're going to see things because your heart is telling you, okay, I'm ready for that. So you'll probably see even more signs popping up.
oh, and you told me to look out for the number 4. You're like, the
Uh-huh.
number 4 kept coming up. And so then I was trying to schedule you last month, and then you were on vacation and I couldn't figure out how to schedule it. So I was like not clicking the menu right. And then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait till April, because she told me the number 4.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because this month, like, in-person visits came back. So they're only visits used to be 5 hours long and 2 days a weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. Now they're back for like 1 hour on Sundays. And so like I feel like that kind of gave me a lot of hope that like this conversation is gonna happen soon. I just don't know when, hopefully by the end of this month or next month.
Yeah.
But
And
you told
just
me to,
know you're ready. You're ready for it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it'll
And
happen.
it's something I was holding back on too. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready, but yeah, I think I just need to journal about it and like
Yeah.
know like have
Mhm.
that consultation with myself, and then like kind of put on out. And
Yeah.
then you also told me the number 7 and 8 were coming up. So I haven't seen 7 and 8, but I've seen, like, every time I look at the clock, it's like 444,
Yeah.
444, or like the number 3 came up a lot on a certain weekend. Like I it was like I kept looking at the clock at 3:33, and then I pumped gas at 3:33 on number 3. And then I was like a passenger, like on my friend's car, and then I looked in the rear view mirror, and like the bus was like 3:33, and like the number of it was 33, and I was like, what the fuck?
Dang.
It was just
Yeah.
like all within 3 days, literally.
That's signs. So, okay. So have you looked up what 333 means?
Yeah, it was, and I forgot what it meant, but it was 3:33 and 444 were similar in the sense of like these are angel numbers
Yep.
from your spirits telling you um like have patience, like what you
Yeah.
want is coming, like it's coming for you. Just
Yes.
stay patient, keep working at it, have faith. And I'm like, I have had faith, I've been patient, but I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
They're like just
And
gentle reminders. 444 is a very powerful number. It's an angel number. Like, literally means the angels are watching over you. Your guardians are there. And also just keep in mind too, when you catch those repetitive numbers, it's a reminder that you're on the right path. So you're headed in the direction you're supposed to be going on. So it's a good thing.
yeah, thank
That's
you. Yeah, I know.
exciting. Yeah,
Thank
for the 7
you.
and 8, keep in mind too, it may not be the literal number, it could also be the month. So July and August, right?
Yeah,
July's number 7, August
yeah,
is 8. So keep in mind maybe something in the summer too. You may have something popping up too. But I love it. I love that those things are opening up. And you, and to me too, like I could see it like in your aura, like you're open to it. So that's why you're catching this stuff.
Yeah, and I had just started to when I had my first session with you, I had just started to get into crystals and crystal healing and meditating and all that. And then we had that session and you mentioned to me like, I should try to like meditate or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm already doing it. And you were like, okay, great. And I've kind of fallen back off of it because I've just gotten busier. But it's a give or take, right? I've also been spending more time with family and traveling
Yeah.
down to LA because I live up north, but I've been coming down more. So I'm like, okay, like doing what I can with what I
Even
can.
your driving time, girl, if you drive a lot, your driving time, I mean, obviously you're not going to meditate when you're driving, but it is kind of a time of peace for you. So that's your time too in your mind. Like just talk to God, like in your mind, or look at the license plates as you're driving and ask questions to God or your spirit, and then like pay attention to like the license plates or the numbers or the signs or bumper stickers. A lot of times they speak to you that way too.
I love that you say that because I've actually like when we first broke up and I was driving down to LA a lot, I
Uh-huh.
was like praying on my way down or meditating and then like and I think like I never really understood when people say like, oh, God told me X, Y, and Z. And it's like, well, God doesn't tell you like you don't hear God. Like you think
Right,
this shit, but you're like, where did it come from? Like
right.
you just feel like it was put in your brain for a reason.
Yep. Yeah.
Um so yeah, so that's where I've been at. And I'm glad that I got it scheduled in with you. I told a few of my girlfriends about you, and then I saw one
Oh,
of them. I saw one of them the other day, and she's like, "Oh, we've all had our second schedule, but our second session booked in. Like you're slacking." And I'm like, "Y'all are probably the reason I can't get an appointment."
how
It was like
cute.
four of
Thank
them.
you. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love it. It's a word of mouth is always better to me when people like hear from someone else. So I love that. It's exciting. And it's funny too, because sometimes like I read for sisters and I don't even realize I'm doing that. It's like I always tell my husband, like, when I'm done with my session, if my spirit wipes out my memory of everything that was said, probably for that reason, because if I'm reading for someone's friend, they don't want me to connect or know, or oh my gosh. So yeah, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. I told them all about you, and then they were like, "Oh my God, like she's so nice. They like you." Because a lot of us,
Oh,
like, at least I was too. I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, "Well, I don't know what this is," and I was like, I was like, I liked her energy. Like it was positive. I don't think it's any sketch. I'm like, she has a code of ethics on her website. Like she's not gonna fuck with you. Like, and they were like, "Okay, we'll fuck with her." I was like, "Yeah, she's awesome."
oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much. That was so sweet.
Yes, girl. And I'll be coming back. We gotta support each other.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, thank you. We'll see. I'll let you know. I think maybe in a few months, maybe after we have that communication. I'm a little,
Yeah.
I think that fear of the unknown, but I kind of feel like it needs to be had. And that's something
Yeah.
we both know and we both told each other is like we see ourselves together in the long run, but like not right now. And he told me like I still need to work on myself. And I'm like, I do too.
Yeah.
And we can't
And
just
you
get
know,
back together.
that is very I think that that's good of him to recognize that and to be honest with that. And it tells me that you guys can still, maybe you're not 100% together, but you're still together, you know? So I love that he's open with you about that. And I think this conversation is only going to make it better.
It's interesting that you say that because he actually told me that. He's like, to me, we're still together. Like, I'm still claiming you in here. And I'm like, I think he was telling me that to make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like a slap in the face because I was like, really, motherfucker? Like, I'm over here hurting, heartbroken. And you're just like, we're still together, And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's fucked up. But
Yeah.
then I did feel that. I did feel that we were still together. I'm like, we may not have the title or physically be together, but like,
Yeah.
you're my soulmate. And like, no
You
one's going to
have
take
to
that away from
realize,
us.
and I think what will help you too is just to realize your environments are very different. So his environment is more enclosed. He has that ability to really focus and feel like, yeah, you're still his number one. Your environment is more open. So it's kind of like you do have that freedom of like, okay, if you divert your attention, yeah, someone else can be coming in at any minute, you know? So you have to kind of put yourself in his shoes to observe how he sees your situation. And I think you'll understand it more.
Yeah. yeah, but
Oh,
we'll see. I'm glad that we
yeah.
got good energy, and I'm glad that the dog came up because I was starting
Oh,
to like
yes.
become a doubt.
Yeah, no, you definitely needed to hear that. So I'm glad they came up. It came up in that way for you too. That was definitely like an answered prayer for you, or like just a validation from your guides that you needed to hear that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, thank you so much for letting me hold space for you. And I look forward to hearing updates and everything on how things go later on in the year.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we'll be in touch.
Okay, definitely.
Okay.
You have a
Take
good
care.
rest of your
Have a
day.
good Saturday.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and I'll send you the recording too.
Oh yes, please, please. Thank you. Because
Yeah.
I'm not on my laptop, but I'm trying to save them all on my laptop. So
Okay.
once
Yeah.
you send it.
I'll save it for you.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.